Hello, everybody. My name is Miss Amanda, and today I am going to be talking to you about the belief that mistakes mean that I am bad at math. All right? Now, the thing is, mistakes do not mean that you are bad, not only at math, in fact, at anything at all. All right? Anything. Okay? Now, making mistakes in our lives, well, it's life. Okay? We always make mistakes. However, mistakes give you an opportunity to grow, right? You make a mistake, okay? You see the mistake, you correct the mistake, and you actually learn from that mistake. That's what happens to most of us, okay? Not most of us, all of us actually, all the time. It's like when we were babies and we were learning how to walk, right? We didn't start off as professional, I don't know, athletes suddenly running, sprinting, right? We first had to learn how to walk. And from there, right? What did we do? We fell many times and we got back up and tried again. So, the same goes for doing anything in life. Okay, not only math, but since we are on the topic of math, okay, then let me give you an example. I was actually a student who made many mistakes in my math. I was very, very careless. All right. Now, what kind of mistakes did I make? For example, um, calculation mistakes. It reached a point where I actually used the calculator for every single calculation during my O levels just to make sure that I did not repeat the same mistake. Okay? Another thing was there were a few mistakes I kept making repeatedly over and over again. Okay? But I, however, made a conscious decision that, hey, I keep making this same mistake. Okay? Why am I making the same mistake? And what do I do to stop making the same mistake? So what I did was I actually practiced and I figured out that every time I see this particular question, I tend to ignore that particular part, which made me end up getting the question wrong. So let me show you an example of what kind of question I was actually struggling with. I actually struggled with it. Now, this kind of questions. This is actually a very simple secondary one algebraic simplification question. And I have students who are still making the same mistakes up till secondary 4, secondary 5, up to all the way up to their preliminary exams, which is, well, everybody would think that, hey, after 4 years, you should be getting it correct. And to be honest, yeah, you really should be getting it correct. However, I do understand that sometimes, okay, if you are not aware and you do not make that conscious decision to change, it's very difficult. So, let me show you what kind of mistakes is like the most common mistake for this question. Students will do this, okay, confidently. They would know that this is multiplied by 2. So, you multiply this by 2. Here, you multiply it by 5, multiply it by 5. This gives us 6 bracket y plus 3, okay, over 10 minus 5 y minus 1 over 10. After I have made the denominator the same, okay, it's very easy to tell because I added the brackets here, and here it will just be 6 bracket y plus 3 minus 5 bracket y minus 1 over 10. However, a common mistake made is to just do this. What they would do is just forget about the brackets, okay? So, this is the common mistake. The common mistake would be to do this. 3y plus 3 over 5 minus y minus 1 over 10. Sorry, over 5. Sorry, over 2, which is, here, what they will do is 9y plus 9 over 5 minus y minus 1 over 2. From there, okay, they would do this. Since here you need to multiply by 5, right? This becomes 9y plus 9 over 5 minus 5y minus 5 over 10 because you multiply by 5 here. And here you need to multiply by 2. So this becomes 18y plus 18 over 10. Then, since my denominators are the same, this is where the mistake comes in. 18y plus 18 minus 5y minus 5 over 10. However, you must take note that this is subtracting the whole expression and not only 5y, which is why here, when I actually draw the brackets already, it actually helps me get the correct answer. However, when I was in secondary school, I always forget to first draw the brackets. So how I made a conscious decision to actually correct my mistake was I drew the brackets even when this was a plus. This is to prevent myself from getting overconfident. So this is how I actually corrected one of my mistakes and learned from my mistakes. All right? Now, so with this kind of mistakes, actually, many a times making mistakes actually help you learn. Learn the correct way of doing the question, learn the correct way of doing many things, in fact. Okay, not only just exam related, but many things in life. Making mistakes actually teach you something. All right? Now, this belief shifter, the belief we were talking about is that mistakes mean that I'm bad at anything. Here, we hope to shift it to that mistakes are a part of learning. Every mistake you make highlights an area of improvement, correct? Highlights an area of improvement. Okay? Think about why you got it wrong. For me, it was because I was very careless. I didn't check my work and I was very confident that it was correct. It's my overconfidence that actually made it wrong, in fact. Okay? And then, after reflecting on that, you will actually learn more from that than from getting it right the first time. Because you might get it right the first time, but somehow you might still make careless mistakes, and then you will not put in the precautions to prevent the careless mistakes. Okay? So sometimes getting it wrong helps. All right? So thank you for watching this video, and then I'll see you guys next time.